Hello everyone, my name is Chloe and I haven't filmed a book haul since the beginning of 2021. Yeah, so we are here with a book haul today. I realized that while my list didn't seem very long, it is actually very long, and I haven't posted a book haul since my Christmas one back in January. So today we're going to talk about all of the books that I have received or picked up since that book haul, which is essentially 8 months worth of books. Actually not that bad. It's 28 books spread across 8 months. I've already read probably half of them. You've probably seen a good portion of these books in videos since I've received them. I just never hauled them. So that's what we're doing today. I'm not going in any particular order because these are so out of order that it doesn't even matter. We're just gonna start at the top of the pile and work our way down. So let's go ahead and get started. So first I have two nonfiction books that are actually writing craft books, and that is Spilling Ink, A Young Writer's Handbook, and Dear Allie, How Do You Write a Book? This is a book that I read many years ago and really enjoyed the writing craftness of it. I don't know how to say that. This one I actually picked up from the library and really enjoyed flipping through, so I picked up my own copy. So now I have these two books about writing craft, and if you follow me on Twitter, you may see that I changed my name to Chloe is Writing, and that's going to be a video later on. So these are just books that I mostly flip through or read the different sections of whenever I feel like it. They're just table books, basically. Next, I have Dear Martin by Nick Stone. This is actually an ex-library book from the library that I work at, and I snagged it before it was completely weeded, and I was able to take the plastic off it and make it look nice to look on my shelves. And then another ex-library book that I have is Prince in Disguise by Stephanie Kate Strom. I have never heard of this book before, but it looked interesting. I do love books with royalty, or I like to check them out, so that's what I'm going to be doing with this one. You're going to see a bunch of 2021 releases in this haul, and we're going to talk about a couple of them right now. One of my most anticipated ones was The Betrayed by Kass. If you saw my July wrap-up, then you guys know that I've already read this book and some of my thoughts on it. But this was the finale to The Betrothed, which came out last year. And then this is not a 2021 release, but I was able to snag an arc of The Elite by Kass, which is the second book in the Selection series. Somebody had an arc up for trade and was able to snag that up to put with my Kass collection, because the Selection is one of my favorite series, so I would love to be able to have an arc of one of the books. More new releases we have Of Princes and Promises by Sanja Menon. This is the second book in the Rosetta Academy series. This is a Frog Prince retelling, and I did do a mood board spread specifically for this book as a part of a blog tour, so I will link that in the description below if you want to check that out. So I forgot that this isn't a release from this year, it's actually released from 2020, which is Evil Thing by Serena Valentino. This is the 7th book in the Villains series. This one is following Cruella de Vil. I have just barely started it. I'm only 3 chapters in, so I'm really hoping that I enjoy it and that it fits really well into the world that Serena Valentino has created. I'm going to be reading this one soon. That is My Contrary Mary by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. This is the first book in the new Mary's trilogy that they're doing. You may know them from the Jane's trilogy, which is right over here. But now they're doing a trilogy of Mary's, and this is the first one. And this is my book club pick for the month, so I really need to get cracking because this is a thick book and I haven't started yet. So the next one I have is This Poison Heart by Kalyn Bayron. This is the Owl Crate edition, so this cover is a bit different from the normal edition. This video is being filmed after Owl Crate has released their statement regarding Harry Potter and J.K. Rowling merch in their business practice. I'm going to add my statement down in the description below. I did do an unboxing of their July box, and it happened to come out the same day that they made that statement. While I do love to support local small businesses and local small artists. While I love to support small businesses and small artists, I do not agree with the decision that Owlcrate has made, and the trans community has my full support. It was kind of just poor timing of me getting my very first Owlcrate box and then them putting out that statement. But this was one of my most anticipated releases. If you've read Cinderella is Dead, that is such a good book, so I'm really excited to see what's going on in this book. And this cover is beautiful. I have the Barnes & Noble edition of Better Together by Riccio. On the front we have Siri, and then on the back is the other character whose name I can't remember. Jamie, that's her name, Jamie. But the Barnes & Noble edition has Siri on the cover, so I wanted to pick that up since this was a more limited edition than the regular edition. And then I also have a final copy of Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. I did have an ARC of this book, a physical ARC. I did still want to purchase a finished copy to go with my other copies of Angie Thomas's books, so I have that here. A bunch more 2021 releases. We have A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. This is the next book in the ACOTAR series. This is not the true cover. This is a cover that I bought off of Redbubble to match the older covers. So if you're interested in this, I will link it in the description below. Not affiliated, not sponsored. I just really like this cover and I want to support small businesses and artists. I didn't realize that most of this is new releases, which I guess is good. We have Act Your Age, Eve Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is the third and final book in the Brown Sisters trilogy. I read this for Read-A-Rama a couple months ago and this was super cute. And I have a new book from one of my favorite authors of all time. We have Second First Impressions by Sally Thorne. This was her new release that I also read a couple of months ago. And then Life's Too Short by Abby Jimenez, the next book in the Friend Zone trilogy world series. I also recommend checking this out as well. So the next like 6 or so books, about half of them are new releases, but all of them are actually Book of the Month picks. So we have Instructions for Dancing by Nicola Yoon, a fantastic return to writing for Nicola Yoon. I highly recommend checking this one out. The Heart Principle by Helen Huang. I have not read this one yet, but is the third one in the Kiss Quotient series. But I haven't read this one yet, but I know that this has been supposed to come out for like 3 years now, and it's finally out. So I'll be picking this up soon. Next we have People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. Another one of my most anticipated releases, one of my favorite romance authors ever. Highly recommend you check this out as well as Beach Read. I love Emily Henry. And then I have 3 Book of the Month editions of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books. First one is Malibu Rising, her new release. This one is fantastic. I highly recommend checking it out. And then her past books with Book of the Month are Daisy Jones and the Six, which I didn't have a copy of, and The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I actually had this in a paperback, but I ended up giving it to my coworker. And the reason why I got all of these in Book of the Month editions is because I was reading an interview that the author did. She was talking about how there's a book in the 60s, a book in the 70s, and a book in the 80s, and her intent is to write a book in the 90s, and they form a kind of quartet, and they have small connections throughout all of them. So I wanted to have a full Book of the Month set. And the last couple books I have are just books that I picked up throughout the year. They're not new 2021 releases, but they're just books I picked up. The first one being Superman Dawnbreaker by Matt De La Pena. This is the 4th book in the DC Icon series written by different authors. And this is the only one, well, I think there's 5 total, but this is one of the 2 that I haven't read. I have the mass market edition of The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, one of my favorite books of all time, and this little mass market is gorgeous. I know people don't tend to like mass markets, but I really, really like this cover, so I wanted to pick it up. One of my favorite books that I've read all year is Well Met by Jen DeLuca. I don't even remember where I got this copy from, but I highly recommend you guys check this book out. So then I have Cress and Winter in paperback edition, both by Marissa Meyer. These are the new paperbacks that have been released. I believe they were released last year, but I was collecting the new paperbacks because these are gorgeous, and these were the last 2 that I needed, and I finally picked them up. And we are down to the last 2 books. First we have Again Bet Better by Christine Riccio. This is the pink paperback edition, and don't at me, this is my 4th copy of this book. I have the pink paperback, I have the Y'all Fest ARC, and I have the Target edition and the Barnes & Noble edition. So I have 4 copies of the same book. I just have really good memories associated with this book, even if it's not the best piece of literature out there. And I don't know, I have really good memories with this book. And finally, from the used bookstore, I picked up Sleigh by Brittany Morris. This is not something that I normally would have gravitated to because it's very video game-esque, but after I listened to the audiobook, yes, there's video games, but not in the way that I was thinking. So I'm glad that I picked this up. Those are all of the books in this book haul today. I'm gonna try and not let my next one go that long because that was a lot of stuff. I'm not even gonna try and pick it up because it's already all over the floor. So that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to check out my Patreon, linked in the description below. As always, if you like what you see here, please go ahead and click subscribe. I post new videos every week, so click subscribe so you can be updated for when I post those. Thank you all so much. I'll see you in my next one. Bye! In the darkness, I don't feel so cold. The ashes fall like rain, and somehow we're okay. A story drifts between shadows and smoke.